Welcome to Have Roots, Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last several years, I've been featuring each fille du roi, or king's daughters, and getting to know their stories a little bit better. We are on episode 260, which isn't too bad, but there's over 700 of them, so let's get cracking. Now, I also want to show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe, like, and notify. All of that is so very helpful to me. The next three are ways to help the channel grow. We have Coffee and Patreon, which are our external platforms, and we also have my PayPal button on my Have Roots Will Travel website. And here on YouTube, I believe there's a super thanks button that you can click on and contribute as well. So thank you to all of you who have done so thus far. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. So let's get started with today's episode. Episode number 260, we will be exploring the life of Perrine Lapierre. And she came to us as a viewer request. When I looked in my files, guess who was there? The boy next door. This is one of his great-grandmothers. Let's get to know Perrine a little bit better. Born in 1643 in a commune called Corbeil, and her parents were Pierre Lapierre, don't you love that name, and Claude Leclerc. Corbeil is found in the Île-de-France region, and inside of that region, the département, or the county, is Essonne, and in 1951, they combined Corbeil and Essonne, which was another commune. So now it is called Corbeil-Essonne. But at the time of her birth, it was called just Corbeil. Corbeil has existed since the Gallo-Roman times. It was a main road from Paris to Sens. Corbeil comes from the Latin and Gaul languages and essentially means holy house. The church, Saint Leonard, was built in the 10th century and rebuilt in the 15th. Two major treaties were signed here: the Treaty of Corbeil, 1258, between France and Aragon, and 1326 between France and Scotland. During the 15th century, it was a hotbed of Protestant disturbances. The Protestants of France attacked it in 1562 amidst the religious war called the First Civil War. And so you can imagine that is kind of what has been going on. I mean, obviously it wasn't happening exactly when she was born, but that was the culture and the environment that she was born into. Then would arrive in New France aboard Le Jean-Baptiste de Dieppe on June 18, 1665, as a fille du roi. She had lost both her parents. There is no mention of a dowry. The groom that she would select and who would select her, his name, Honoré Denis de Tourangeau, and he was born in 1629 in Mont-Louis-sur-Loire. His parents were Martin Denis and Etienne Boudet. Now, the Mont-Louis-sur-Loire is found in the region of France known as Centre Val de Loire, and inside of that, the département is called Indre-et-Loire. There are about 11,000 people that live there today. In the 6th century, Mont-Louis-sur-Loire is actually first mentioned, and the church dates from the 11th to 12th century with many renovations over the centuries. And remember that Mont-Louis-sur-Loire means Mont-Louis, Mount Louis, on the Loire River. So that's how you can kind of understand the location of it. So let's see how Honoré, comes to New France. So Honoré has the grand distinction of arriving with the Grand Recru. The Grand Recru was in 1653. They went and got over 100 people to come to Montreal because Montreal was absolutely failing. So we have the governor going there, de Maisonneuve, and he went and got 100 recruits. He paid them to come to Montreal and protect it. And Honoré is there, and you can actually see him on that plaque that is the Grand Recru, and he is there. Now, he did end up marrying a fille mariée, Marie Bedard, who we have not yet profiled, And he would also help Montreal by joining the 16th Squadron of the Saint Famille militia that was eventually created in 1663. In time, his wife does pass away, and we find him in the 1666 census with his two sons, Jean and Jacques. So we find them getting together. Perrine and Honoré are together by March 20th, 1666 is their marriage date. So she comes to New France and marries a widower with two children. Very brave. So the family would settle at Montreal. Let's talk a little bit about Montreal, this wonderful city that would eventually become the mighty Montreal. Started off as the very small Ville-Marie by the founder, Paul de Chamédé, Sœur de Maisonneuve, and was essentially a missionary center. And it was founded in May of 1642. The colony would not thrive, and it was on the verge of extinction when Chamonix decided to return to France to recruit 100 settlers, which would be known as Le Grand Recruit. We just saw that. From this small group would evolve the Notre Dame Congregation from Sister Marguerite Bourgeois. When Montreal was founded, the new colonists were rapidly confronted by a fearsome enemy, the Iroquois. Unfortunately, there was no regular army on Montreal soil until 1665, when the Carignan-Salieres regiment landed here. In the meantime, militias capable of resisting Iroquois attacks were set up. So it was on January 27, 1663, that Chamonix de Maisonneuve created the Saint Famille militia to protect Ville-Marie and its inhabitants. It was made up of 139 voluntary colonists, of which Honoré was one of them. Now, you can see clearly that Montreal is an island. That would eventually become its greatest strength, but at the time, it was its greatest weakness because they could attack it from all the different elements. You know, that you could just go on a boat and set foot no matter where you wanted to go. Now, in 1667 census, we find Honoré and Perrine there. We have them with Jean and Jacques. So those are his two children from his first wife. They have 3 beasts, which are probably cats, and he owns 15 arpents valaires, which is about 12 to 13 acres of land. Pretty good, pretty good. Go on to have 11 children. Charlotte would pass away in infancy. Jean would marry Anne Bedel. Anne's mother was Barbe Duchesne, who we profiled in episode 88. Jean and Anne would have 7 children, 5 of whom would go on to leave descendants. Honoré would marry Catherine Brunet and have 3 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Catherine would marry Pierre Turgeon and have 7 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. Petronille would marry Charles Brouillard and have 1 child who made it to adulthood, and then married Bernadette Cantera and have 6 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Jeanne would pass away at 16 years of age. Paul, we don't have any more information on. Nicolas would marry Marie-Anne Fortier and have 7 children, but only 2 would make it to adulthood. René would marry Marguerite Forcy and have 10 children, 9 of whom made it to adulthood. Jacques would pass away in infancy. Charles would marry a native woman, Dorothy, and I can't say her name, and have 4 children, 1 of whom made it to adulthood. In the 1681 census, we find Honoré. He is working as a charpentier, a woodmaker, a carpenter. Perrine Lapierre, his children Jean, Honoré, Catherine, Petronille, Jeanne, Paul, Nicolas. They have 4 bêtes à cornes, which are goats or any horned animal, I've been told. 30 arpents valaires, that's amazing. So he's doubled his possession of land. So that's about 26 acres of land. Tragedy would ensue for this family. In 1689, Perrine and Honoré's 2 daughters and a son were walking through the cow fields when they were attacked by a native. He subsequently raped and murdered Jeanne, their 16-year-old daughter. The native was caught but then let go because there was much fear of angering the native population. Tragic. Honoré would die quite suddenly He was about 59 to 60 years of age, and he and Perrine would have been married about 23 years. I don't know what he died of. It just seems very coincidental that his daughter is raped and murdered, and suddenly he passes away. So I don't know if that was just a coincidence or not, but it certainly didn't help. Would come next, the second groom, Yves Saint Luca, and he was born in 1666 in Plouzany in France. His parents were François Luca and Marguerite Solève. Now you can see that he is from the Brittany area, a region of France, and inside that region he is part of Finistère, and inside of that you can see that this particular place really lies on the shores, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful area. About 12,000 people live there now, and it has been for many, many centuries a very strategic area in terms of battles and ships and that sort of thing. You can imagine the importance it has in terms of being able to see what's coming at you, you know? And that is where Eve comes from. They were married at Lachine on March 19, 1705. There was a 23-year gap between them, with Perrine being the older. And in fact, he was born the year she was married to her first husband. But you know, she was able to live by herself for 15 years. I have to believe this was a love match. She didn't need him for financial support. She didn't need him to support her children. So I have to hope and that it was a love match. They did not end up having any children together. Perrine would die 7 years later on April 24th, 1712. She was 69 years of age, so I just hope the last 7 years of her life were happy. And she would leave us with 121 descendants as of 1729. I want to recommend two books that are just amazing when you're studying women who are from Montreal or helped to establish Montreal. Les Filles du Roi, The Pioneers of Montreal, from the Société d'Histoire des Filles du Roi, and the fabulous book from Susan McNally that's available on Amazon, The Women of Ville Marie. Please, please have a look at that book. Even if you're studying people not from Montreal, as long as you're studying people from that era, you need to read this book. It will really, really give you a good sense of what they were going through. The life Perrine lived. I'm just amazed by her, and any descendant of hers should be extraordinarily proud for the fact that she survived what she survived. To lose a husband so suddenly, to lose a child in the manner that she did, just incredible that she kept going on and would ultimately leave us with 121 descendants. A truly remarkable, remarkable woman of substance, and we are ever grateful for her contribution, for her sacrifices, and for her endurance most of all. So thank you, Perrine. And I also want to say thank you to my patrons, supporters, and subscribers. All of you are amazing and have helped this channel grow over the last several years to the level it is right now. So I really appreciate each and every one of you for your support, your criticisms, your support, your thoughts. All of it is part of how things grow in life, right? So thank you to all of you. So with that being said, I will see you on the next episode of Les Filles du Roi. Until then, au revoir.